Okay, here's another quick tips episode. So today we're going to talk about removing a stuck seat post from a carbon frame. So it does happen. There's a number of reasons why it happens, and I'll show you a couple of ways to get the seat post out if that happens. So obviously, you try and save the frame as opposed to saving the seat post, because the frame's usually a lot more expensive than the seat post. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So what causes the seat post to get stuck? Well, there's a number of different things. If it's an aluminium seat post in a carbon frame, you can get galvanic corrosion. So I'll give you an example of what that looks like. So here's an old frame which has seen a lot of galvanic corrosion. I think I've posted pictures up on this on the Instagram. You can see all that white residue there. That's galvanic corrosion. So the seat post was well and truly stuck into that frame. The other thing that can happen on a carbon seat post, they've got clear coat over the top of it as well to seal it. Now that clear coat can get, for a number of reasons, it can go soft, or and then it actually turns into like an adhesive, and you've got so much bond area that it doesn't take much to get really stuck in there. So even if it's got in terms of shear strength, even if it's 100 pounds per square inch in shear strength, which is really low, a structural adhesive might have 4,000 pounds per square inch in shear strength. So even if it's got 100 pounds per square inch in shear strength, you've got so many square inches surface area that it takes a lot of force to break that. So that's where it can be a real problem. So to remove it, so what have we done to remove it? So there's a couple of little tricks. Freeze spray on an aluminium post can work well. So what you're doing is you're relying on the thermal mismatch between carbon and aluminium. So aluminium has got quite a large thermal coefficient, so it expands and contracts with temperature variation a reasonable amount, whereas carbon is quite neutral. So if you cool the part, the seat post, it will shrink a little bit in diameter, and that might be enough just to pop it out. So obviously it depends how cold you can go. So one way is if you've got a freezer and you've got a front triangle of a mountain bike, you can pop that into the freezer. Freezer might be minus 18, and that might be enough. Then the aerosol freeze spray, again, you can spray the area and use the freeze spray to cool that. The other thing, sort of as not as a last resort, but as to get cooler and cooler, and I'll throw a link to a video that a friend of mine, because he had a stuck dropper post, and he couldn't get it out, and I said, okay, we'll try this, try that, and then we end up, okay, we'll go the final one before we have to cut it out, and that's putting dry ice. So dry ice is about minus 70 degrees, and so you can fill the seat tube with dry ice, and then that'll cool it down significantly. So I'll put a link up to his video, because he actually made a little quick video of the process that he did, and you can have a look at that. So that worked really well for him. So the other way, as a last resort, is to cut it out, and we've had to do that a few times. Here's this cutout section. This one is sort of it's a bit of a hybrid seat post, so it's a carbon outer layer on an aluminium core, and it's got galvanic corrosion on the aluminium inner piece, and which would have then expanded, and yeah, anyway, the whole thing was stuck in there, and so I had to cut a slot, and so basically you use a hacksaw blade, and it's very time consuming, and you just cut a slot, and then once you've got that, you can pry it open. So that's usually the last resort. But one of the things to be mindful of, you don't want to damage your frame, so don't use excessive force. If you clamp the frame in a vise or something like that, and put a big wrench or a big piece of pipe or something like that, you can break the frame. So try these other methods first. I think the cooling, the dry ice or the freeze spray, try those things first before you get any destructive or cutting or anything like that. So okay, so how do we then avoid this situation in the first place? So how can we reduce the chance of getting your seat post stuck in the frame? So you need to isolate the post from the frame. So the assembly compounds like the carbon paste, etc., they're designed specifically for that. So they have the little grit particles to increase the friction, so you don't need to tighten things or over tighten things. But they also have got corrosion inhibitors and all that sort of stuff in it to reduce the likelihood of corrosion or moisture and all those sort of problems. So it's funny, it's like I've been planning this video for a couple of days, and just on Instagram this morning I had a question: should I use carbon paste on a dropper post in a carbon frame? And from a person in Guam. Now, being in a tropical sort of place, you definitely see galvanic corrosion if you don't do these treatments. So so the answer is yes. Use these pastes as that's what they're there for. That's what they're designed for. They work. They're effective. The other thing you can do is just check your seat post every now and again. So undo the seat post clamp, give the seat a bit of a wiggle, make sure it moves, take it out, give it a clean, reapply the paste, put it all back together again. So these little things like that can save you a lot of time and money down the track. So if your seat post does get stuck and it's the freezing technique doesn't work and other techniques, etc., don't work, and you have to cut it out, that can be expensive, particularly on a dropper post. So a little bit of preventative maintenance goes a long way with this sort of stuff. So that's just something to be mindful of. So that's a wrap up for a quick tips. I'll try and do a regular sort of weekly thing. It's either there's Tuesday tech tips are a common thing. Today's Thursday, but we had Cup Day on Tuesday, so anyway, didn't back a winner. So anyway, hope you backed a winner, and we'll talk to you again soon. All right, see you next time. Bye.